Talked a lot about this year is different. When talking to Heath yesterday, he called it more business-like. Could you expand on, now that you guys are here, how this year feels a little different than last year?
Well, I think last year everything was so new to everybody. I think once we made the NCAA tournament, we hadn't been in a long time. Everybody just kind of exhaled. And I think now, the kids who came back, we brought back over half the roster. We added some new guys, and I think they all understand that, we want to do more this coming season. So I think everybody's obviously still excited. I mean, it's hard to be here. It's hard not to get excited when it's hard to get here, and it's hard not to be excited when you get here. But I think everybody understands that, hey, we really want to, try to win a game or two and try to advance in this thing. And it's not just so giddy about just getting here. Last year we were just giddy about being here, and it was almost like a field trip. And this year is much more, about our business and about, hey, let's see if we can do the things we need to do to try to win a game, or maybe more than one. But we'd start at one.
If you got another one, go ahead. Here, wait for a mic real quick. Thanks.
Obviously, a lot of physicality on Clemson, 5 guys over 6'9" or above. So how do you guys handle that, and what have you learned from that Gonzaga game that you can apply tomorrow night?
We'll see. I mean, we need to be better against it than we were last year. So I mean, look, there's just a difference in the levels. It's like, football, the difference between FCS is on the line of scrimmage, right? So, basketball, it's the big guys. So we're a little smaller, quicker. We've got to try to play to our advantages while they're going to try to play to their advantages, which is just pound the ball inside and annihilate us in the paint. And so, we've got to try to, play to what our advantage would be, which would be somewhat of maybe having some quickness. But, I mean, they've got one of the premier rebounders in the country. They've got a great front line. They got a great coach. They got a great scheme. So it's a lot easier said than done.
Right here in front. Yeah, mic up here.
Jim Gazzola, American Press. Why does everybody laugh at that?
You need no introduction.
Last year after the Gonzaga game, you said you wanted to do certain things to get to this spot, but be able to improve from this spot. Do you think you've done enough, and what else do you think you need to do?
Well, we'll find out. We've got some better positional size. We just don't have a big center because you can't win in our league with a big center. We would be sitting a kid for a long time in the league with a big old center. So, I mean, the number one goal is to get here and win the Southland. And so we've done that. I do think we've got some, better size at the 1 through the 4 than we've had. We just don't have, we don't have a center, not in a traditional sense. And so, I think we've improved along the margins. Have we improved enough? We'll see tomorrow afternoon.
Right here.
Beth Wool from Fox Carolina in Greenville. You've been open and honest and talked about your experience at Clemson, and your players talked about what this would mean and all of those different things. What is it, in a day and age where so many people are willing to go, it's about the game, you can't focus on that stuff, and kind of shy away from admitting and being honest about that sort of stuff? Why be open? Why be honest? Why share the truth?
Well, all the players know we don't practice when Clemson plays football. I mean, they know they got those 3 hours on a Saturday. They know. I mean, so they all know I'm a Clemson. I mean, they joke with me about it, and we had to change our pregame schedule up around the ACC title game this year. It took them too long to kick the damn field goal. I mean, they all know that. I mean, look, I've always been at, I'm at an FCS football school now. I was at VCU for a while, who had no football. Now, it was a little hairy when LSU played Clemson for the national title when I was at LSU. But I mean, they all know that. I mean, that's the one kind of reprieve I have, is I like watching their football program play. So, it was no secret. It was no secret to them. One of my assistants is one of the all-time great players at Clemson. He's still top 5 in steals at Clemson. I was a manager. He was obviously a player. I always joke in recruiting between the two of us, we scored over 1,000 points. He just scored them all. So he's a big Clemson guy. So our guys know that, but that's not gonna. I mean, look, I follow the basketball program, and baseball, loosely, not as close as football. So they all know that. But I mean, I graduated in 05, so I'm a relic. So I mean, it won't be any different when we're playing them. It's the first time I've played against them.
As an 05 granted, please don't call us a
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. We're hitting our stride then.
Right here in the middle.
Eric Rube with the Providence Journal. You just mentioned yourself being a manager. I wanted to ask about your manager, who's gotten a certain amount of viral fame. And is the person we see on screen or on our phones, who is he behind the scenes, and what has he done to kind of help elevate this program a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, first off, he's a servant leader in the sense that, when I was a manager at Clemson, you're at a bigger school, you've got some scholarship money you can divvy out. We're at McNeese. We have no scholarship money. This is strictly volunteer. And when we got the job, we had no managers, we had nothing. And so he volunteered, and he gets there at 5:36 in the morning every morning, and he's working hard. I joked with him. He messed up. He never messes up. He's our clock guy, which is the hardest thing to do in practice because you got to know all the different scoring with each of the drills. Stuff. He messed up the clock the other day. I said, "Man, all this fame's getting to your head, so you got to buckle in." But no, he's just a great kid. Comes from a great family. His father's a doctor in town, it's been surprising. I mean, I'm not watching when we go out. I'm back in the back doing like my breathing exercises and stuff while they're doing all that. So I didn't even know anything about it until PJ, who's in here now, our social media guy. I guess he filmed it, and I'm not on social media either. So my special assistant shows me all the stuff, and he's like, "Hey, Amir's blowing up." But I'm happy for him. Our kids are happy for him. He's a great person. He's just a big sports fan. Like he wants to be a journalist. He wants to get into. He's graduating in sports management. And he's just a big. I mean, he's just an oddity. He grew up a DePaul fan in basketball, Big East, and so he can tell you all this stuff about DePaul, and we always joke with him about DePaul basketball. But he knows a ton about sports. He follows every sport. He's just a really, really good person. He's really low key outside of the viral video, I guess.
Thanks. So cheering back.
Yeah, Chuck Culpepper from the Washington Post. What are you like when you watch Clemson play football? Do you ever rip the coaches or anything like that?
It's hard to rip Dabo, but I get nervous. Yeah, I get nervous, and I follow it. I follow the recruiting closely. I follow big recruiting weekend a couple weekends ago. I mean, I follow all that stuff. I follow all that stuff pretty closely. So I've gotten better as the years go on. Of course, winning a couple national championships helps too, but I've gotten better with it as the year goes. I'm not nearly as into it now as I was, but the further I guess I get away from graduating, I guess the less I'm into it. But I do get nervous. But no, I don't rip the coaching. I know how hard coaching is.
You're in front, Coach.
You mentioned Vern, and the other day you were talking about how he watches every Clemson game. Does that kind of help you guys with scouting, give you a leg up?
Well, Vern worked for Coach Burnell. So Vern was his GA and was an administrative assistant for him. So he worked for him when he got back playing from overseas. And so, yeah, he has a familiarity with them, certainly.
Right here in the middle, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ralph Russo from The Athletic. How do you address, if you do, some of the chatter about your future with the program, with your players, so maybe keep them in the moment?
We address it head on. I talked to him Saturday about it. I said, here's where it is. Here's where we are. They talked about some of their portal stuff with me. We sat in a room. It was just me and our players, and we all talked about it. So I'm aware of what they've got going on. They're aware of what we've got going on, and you just hit it head on. So we're all on the same page with everything.
Right here in front, Coach.
Michael Swain from 24/7 Sports. I want to follow up on that. There's some rumors linking you to NC State specifically. Have you, your agent, anyone close to you spoken to NC State?
Yes.
Right here with Pete.
I have a macro question, Will. The reason you're on this journey back through McNeese is because of the NCAA infractions process. We're in a world that's rapidly changing. April 7th, I think, the day of the national title game, there's going to be a settlement. There's a whole new infractions process that's coming from the outside that's supposed to uphold some of the rules that they'd struggle to uphold. I'm just curious of your perspectives as you've come back to the new world we're in now.
I mean, I think that it's evolving. You know, it doesn't affect us as much at McNeese as it does at other places. But I think it's slowly evolving. You know, unfortunately through the courts, it'd have been better probably if it was done. You know, not kind of piecemealed through the courts as we have now. If we could have just had a little foresight on some things. But, you know, I'm all for, you know, the student athletes having opportunities and having the ability to move around. I told our coaching staff last year, you know, I don't want to hear any complaining about calling kids in the portal while we're at the NCAA tournament, because half the coaching staffs in the country, those assistants are trying to get other jobs too. So if they're trying to get other jobs, why can't the kids go try to get other jobs? That just makes intuitive sense to me. So, you know, I think that it's moving in a good direction with the revenue share and the enforcement and the new enforcement. I hadn't studied the new enforcement policies all that closely, but I know there's going to be an outside entity. There's a clearinghouse and that sort of thing with the NIL deal. So I mean, it seems positive that we're going to share the revenue, and then we're going to make sure the NIL is actually NIL for the most part. So I think it's moving in a good direction.
Thanks, Coach. About 3 minutes left here. Take one in front.
Getting back to the game tomorrow, what do you guys have to do well in order to come out with a win over Clemson?
Well, we got to guard the paint, keep the ball out of the paint as best we can. We got to not turn the ball over, and we got to try to force some turnovers. All that's easier said than done. Sounds great standing up here, but if we can keep the ball out of the paint, which would be a modern miracle, and we can value the ball and not let Zachary just take the ball from us, and then, you know, we need to force him into some turnovers where we can get out in transition and get some easy baskets. It's going to be tough sledding against their half-court defense.
I got time for one more if it's out there. Right here in the front of the.
Looks like we got two more.
All right. See if we can get them in. All right.
John Blau at the Post and Courier. The Noontime Basketball Association, did you ever play Dabo Sweeney in basketball?
No, he was an assistant there when I was there. I didn't play. I'm not a very good player, John.
Go ahead.
Chapel Fowler at the State. You mentioned addressing stuff head on with your players. You were honest with us just now. Like, where did that come from? The fact that you're so honest about other jobs, kind of taking that philosophy. Where did that start? Because that's kind of rare among coaches.
You just tell it like it is. You know, you may not always like what I got to say, but I'm going to tell you what I think. So I've always kind of been like that, and there's no need to hide it. The guys are reading it on social media. I mean, it's no secret, and I'm not going to ask them to do something I'm not willing to do. And so, I mean, it's no good if you don't address it, and if you sit there and BS them, they know they can read right through the BS. So you might as well just, hey, this is what it is, and here we are, and we'll figure it out.